Well, hello again. This is now part 8 of Repairing Broken Adults. This is sponsored by No Fences. It's a nonprofit organization used to help knock down the fences people build around themselves, and usually at an early age. And our job is to offer them to find a gate in the fence.
Okay.
Once we find an opening to get them through, they can then become knowledgeable and educated and come back and knock the fence down.
I agree.
And this particular show, Ernest has something that he needs to talk about.
Yes, I do.
So we're going to turn this over to Ernest, and he's going to run with it.
Okay, we're in chapter 3 of the book that Mike wrote, fantastic book. But it says the early years, and I want to read this. It says, the thing about a family disaster is you never have to wait long before the next one is putting the previous one into perspective. Okay, and it talks about, it says, I'm just going to read this first line. It says, as was discussed earlier in Sponges, children see, hear, and take in everything that goes on around them. And in many cases, sometimes it is humorous, like the dog, like cursing at the dog the way Dad does it when the dog makes a mess in the house. I have a granddaughter. She's 2.5. And I was telling Mike, I was saying to him, and he probably already knew, that a child's mind between 0 and 5 can comprehend 1 million or more thoughts a day. And people say, how can you say that? Well, everything they touch is new. So if they touch the microphone or the book or the chair or the table, it's all new, and their brain is all taking this in. But they can also take in bad characteristics. My granddaughter, she acts just like her mother. And her mother's got a messed up attitude. So at 2.5, she'll cross her arms and say, I'm not going to talk to you. Or she'll turn her back and say, I hate you. And this is not something that a child normally does. And I know it's from my granddaughter because we went to my sister's house. And we went on a Wednesday. We went for Thanksgiving. We stayed there to Sunday. The first day we were there, my sister said, we don't do this in this house. These are all their toys, but you get to play with them. And I'm not going to let you take them from them, and I'm not going to let them take them from you. And she never did it for her. Well, the M&Ms, I told you, they had a little peep out the sand. Yeah. And she put the M&Ms. But that whole time we were there till Sunday, we never had that problem with her again. And then we got back home and started over, and I asked my therapist, and she said it's the atmosphere in the house. At my sister's house, it's this calm, peaceful atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Everybody's at peace, nobody's screaming and hollering. At my house, there's always some chaos going on. Right. Because my granddaughter loves to create chaos. Mm-hmm. So the child is learning that she gets a reaction when she does this stuff. Now, my oldest daughter is pretty smart. She's going to be a therapist. She's doing a dual. She's working with Cooney. She's up at Western, and she's figuring to get some paper. And she says, we were in a restaurant, nice restaurant, that I took the kids to, and she said, don't react. She was screaming and hollering, and I was finna lose it. And Teresa said, don't react. And so I just sat there, and I talked to the other kid, and I talked to Teresa. It took at least about 60 seconds. And because she didn't get the reaction she expected, she changed. The man brought a plate, and she wouldn't say thank you. So Teresa said, well, I'm not going to give you the spaghetti until you say thank you. And she just sat the plate over there. And she screamed, I want some spaghetti. And Teresa said, when you make up your mind, you want to say I'm sorry or talk to the man. And we just kept coming. And it instantly changes. So I realized how important the atmosphere is. And I need you to help me with this.
And you got to start young, very young. And that's the part that I don't think a lot of parents, I do a lot of work with parents on doing, like the lady we talked about on the last show,
right,
who watched one of these shows and called me up and came over to the house and said, that's what my child does,
right,
just what you talked about. And we talked for a long time, and I know she wants to talk some more, so I'm going to call her up and have her come back. But parents need to understand, having a child, and this sometimes offends a lot of parents, is like having a puppet.
Right.
The puppet is an extension of you.
Right.
You move your finger, the puppet acts like you want it to act. And unless you can differentiate yourself, your behaviors, from your child's behaviors, they're going to become a mini you, right, a little you. And as your granddaughter says, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not doing that. Well, that's not a natural behavior.
No, it isn't.
That comes from learning and listening and hearing what they see and hear.
Exactly.
And they'll repeat that. It's like you said, they don't know what a cup is or a glasses are or a timer is until they touch it.
Right.
And they're told about it. They don't know that you don't throw your food on the floor if you don't like it.
Right.
Until you teach them. And there's a lot of different ways to teach them. The one thing, and I talked to this girl about today who came over to the house, was she didn't realize, because she thought her daughter was seeking attention, and she was, but she also enabled her because she kept giving her the attention.
Right. Negative or positive, the kid gets attention.
And she didn't realize what she was doing, and she started to cry a little bit at the house today when she was talking about it. And I said, what you've done is you have taught her how to teach you. You've taught her how to treat you. And we teach people how to treat us. It's like when a guy goes, and I'm not saying this is the guy's fault or the girl's fault, I'm just saying this is an example. When a guy goes to pick up a girl for a date, or pick up a friend for a game or an outing or whatever you want to do, pick up somebody.
Right.
And you organize a time to be there. And then you turn up at that time. The person's not ready. Okay? Whatever reason, doesn't matter, the person is not ready. What we do is we wait for them. Well, maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe longer. But we're doing the right mature thing as an adult, and we're waiting for them because we accept their excuse. We've just enabled them.
Right.
We just taught them that it's okay to be late because I'll wait.
And in my culture and in my neighborhood, we have what we call CPT, and that's colored people time. Okay?
Okay.
But I also got MPT, which is mother's time, or mother people time, because I take a lot of kids to games and stuff.
Right.
So if the game is at 7, I don't tell them the game is at 7. I tell them the game is at 6.
Right.
Okay, then the parents have them ready between 6 and 7, and I could get there. But if I tell them it's at 7, they don't want to bring the children to 5 minutes to 7, and I'm trying to get in and get all these kids in and get tickets. So it's exactly right. People, when you go to pick somebody up, if you accept that, you're allowing them to.
Because what you're doing by what you did was you're allowing their schedule to dictate your time.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, if you have an appointment to pick somebody up at 7 o'clock and you turn up there and they're not ready, drive away.
Okay,
Just go away and say, okay, I'm here. We negotiated this time 24 hours ago, 24 days ago, whatever.
Right.
We agreed to meet at this time. I'm here and ready. You're not, I'm going.
I hear you.
Very quickly, do you stop teaching people that it's okay to treat me wrong.
Right.
And that goes with adults teaching children.
Exactly.
Because most adults, and I'm guilty as well when my kids were young,
Me too.
that, they're just babies, they'll learn. Yeah, they're learning, you're teaching them right then.
Right.
And you don't realize that. Well, they'll learn not to spit their food out later. It's just a baby thing.
Right.
Yeah, they'll learn that, and they'll learn I can do that.
And you will give me different food.
Now, sometimes things change. It's like in this first 2 paragraphs here, which I'll read, it says, as discussed earlier in the last chapter, Sponge,
Right.
children see, hear, and take in everything that goes on around them. In many cases, it can be humorous, like cussing at the dog the way Dad does for making a mess in the house. And how many times when something happened, you said it before,
Yeah.
your granddaughter.
My daughter, she was little, and I don't swear a lot on TV, but anyway, when people would cut me off, I would say shit, just scream it out in the car.
Yeah.
And she was about 4, and we're driving down the road, and the guy cuts me off, and she says, shit, right, Daddy, right? And looked me dead in the face like I was supposed to say that. And she was programmed to say that because she heard me say it over and over and over.
And up until that time, you didn't realize.
Nope, I didn't.
So it's like cussing at the dog like Dad does for making a mess in the house. Or sometimes it can be as frightening, like a 5-year-old using a knife and a power outlet the way Dad uses a screwdriver on a bicycle. That can be very frightening. And a lot of kids have been hurt very bad, and some, I believe, have probably been
Killed.
died.
Yeah.
By the time children become adults, most of the inappropriate behaviors will be gone, or at least under control. The cussing will most likely become selective, and the using a knife or a screwdriver may still happen, but definitely not in a PowerPoint.
Yep.
I mean, I use a knife or screwdriver in a hurry on
Right.
all kinds of junk.
Right.
So we need to understand that children see, hear, and repeat and digest everything that goes on. That also includes how dad treats mom and how mom treats dad.
And somebody mentioned this a couple of days ago at a different kind of meeting. And what he said is a child's growing up and they start to talk and we encourage them. Dada, mama, and grandpa, and you encourage them. Then they start to walk and you get cameras and you take pictures of them. You tell everybody and everybody comes to watch them walk and talk. And then they get 2 years old and you tell them go sit down and shut up. And that's true. That's what happened.
Yep,
so it's
it
like you compliment all these things they do and tell them how good they are for doing it. And then once it's done, 6, 7 months pass, you don't want to deal with that no more. So you give them some toys and tell them go away.
And how confusing is that?
That's really confusing for a child.
And they spend sometimes months trying to figure out, what do I do?
To get back to that attention.
Because I did what they liked, and they laughed, and they thought it was funny. Now they don't. What do I do now? And it's very confusing, and it's, I'm not gonna say this is easy for adults because it's not.
Right.
We heard, and I wish I had someone tell me this knowledge when I was raising as a young father, but it's a full-time job, and it needs to be thought about. I talk a lot about, for young couples, to have house rules for the house, for young people. We've talked about this before. If you have house rules for the house, then it's not dad said you can't do this, or mommy says you can't do this. It's this is not done in this house.
Right.
And mom and dad have to be on the same page, and they gotta be consistent and constant with what's going on. Once the house rules are established, and you put those up on the refrigerator, and if you're really, really interested in how that works, you put consequences after the breaking the rule. Now, the consequences have to be related to the rule they broke, and it's gotta be age appropriate. So, pretty soon the kids will know they broke a rule. You're gonna say, well, what do you have to do? I gotta go to my room.
Right.
They know what the consequences are, and they can choose to break them or not after that. But if we don't establish a pattern of appropriate behavior and appropriate responses to behaviors at a very early age, we then end up with broken adults.
Right.
And this is what we're talking about, this whole series of shows, and we're gonna have a lot of them before it's over.
And we've got a lot of broken adults, male and female, in prison because
Yep.
no one had the skills to give them what they needed. And I'm not exempt from that. I had a son and a grandson that went to prison, and I worked with kids for a long time, and my grandson ended up in prison. But when I talked to each one of them, they says what they chose to do, what they didn't know.
Yeah.
They knew things, but they chose to do other things. So we not only have to put the right thing there for them to do, but teach them how to make those right decisions.
Well, sometimes, and we've got a couple minutes left, but a lot of what I do as a chaplain in the jail is we talk about thinking about doing things, and I tell them God talks to them every day, and every time they're doing something, they don't realize it.
Right.
I said, when you think about doing something illegal or doing something wrong, just before you do it, the second before you do it, you feel in your heart that's not right.
Yes, you're correct.
That's God talking.
Right.
But we don't listen.
We don't.
And that's the part that I tell them, that if you listen to your heart, call it whatever you want to, but listen to your heart, you won't do half the stuff you do.
You're correct.
Now, we got about 45 seconds left, and we want to wind this up on a positive note. There are a lot of things that parents can do. We would love to have you come on the show. My books are available. They're very helpful. I'm getting some positive feedback from them.
They are great books.
So we want to offer those for people to open their eyes a little bit, look at what they're doing as adults, and see how we can help repair some of these broken adults.
Great.
Thank you, Ernest.
You're welcome, sir.